am I wrong for canceling my wedding even though it's tomorrow? This morning I woke up to a bunch of texts from my sister who lives 14 hours away. She's been pregnant for a little less than 5 months. She was supposed to be the maid of honor at my wedding, but she delivered the news that the doctor told her that she had a miscarriage. I can only imagine the grief my sister is going through. She can't attend my wedding, and even though everything is already booked and we had some guests flying in for the wedding, I just can't have it without her. I thought my fiance would understand, but instead he got extremely upset. We've been planning this date for a while now because it's his mother's birthday and very special to him. But it would make my sister devastated if I had it without her, since I know she was looking forward to it. She said she just wasn't ready to celebrate anything at the moment, and as her sister, she feels like it's my responsibility to comfort her. It's early in the morning where I live, and we're prepared for the wedding tomorrow, but I can't stomach having my special day without my sister.
Oh, I wouldn't want to either. Oh my god, this is hard. I understand both sides.
I told my fiance that after I finish writing this, I'm going to start packing. I need to be with my sister right now. I know everything has been planned out, and I'm ruining a lot by doing this, but I have to put my family first. My fiance is definitely mad at me and called me an asshole because of it. So I was wondering, am I the asshole for canceling my wedding last minute to be with my grieving sister? Okay, there's a lot that goes into this. I don't think you're wrong for wanting to cancel it, and I also wouldn't think that you were wrong if you wanted to hold it either way. I don't think it's right for your sister to try to guilt you into being like, hey, I don't want to have this wedding. I can't be at your wedding, but you shouldn't have it either. That's not right. I 100% get, I would never want to have my wedding without my sister there, but being in the if I were to be in the situation and that happened to my sister, I know my sister, she would still make it out here. Not that I would force it, but one, she would never tell me not to have the wedding, or two, she would just suck it up and, take her losses and just be there for me in my moment. But I don't think you're wrong for wanting to postpone it, So there's no right or wrong answer to this, I think, to be honest. But it just shows how much your sister cares. You care for your sister and how important she is in your life. And so, but I understand everyone's point because it's a wedding and there's a lot of money into it. And like, I don't know.
Storytime about when I messed up by taking my friend's fiance out for a drink. This happened 2 weeks ago. I female my friend's male fiance a couple months ago when he moved with her back to his hometown. The fiance and I got on well enough and we tentatively started to form a friendship. The night before their wedding, my friend stayed over at his brother's. I stayed the night at their house with the bride. She had no friends or family in town and I was by default the bridesmaid. Feeling kind of sorry for her for not having a bachelorette party or anyone around, I suggested that we go out and have a few drinks, celebrate her last few hours of singlehood. I ordered a beer and tequila each for the first round, thinking that we'd start off with a shooter, have a few beers, and end off with a shooter. Nothing wild. I didn't want to be the cause of a severely hungover bride. After the first tequila hit her stomach, she changed. She became more animated. I put it down to just pre-wedding excitement. No one told me that she was a recovering addict who hasn't had a drink in 4 years. No one. In the past when I visited, my friend and myself would drink a beer and she wouldn't. I always thought it was because she wasn't particularly fond of beer or alcohol. I have lots of girlfriends like that who only drink on certain occasions, but I like beer. The bride started chugging beers and shooters like a frat boy. I tried to stop her, but she wouldn't listen to reason. She became more and more aggressive, so I just backed off. Had I known what I know now, I would have made a bigger effort, even if it may have meant a black eye or a bloody nose for me. As Murphy would have it, she chose the exact moment to go to the bathroom as the girl was doing lines in the stall next to hers. The bride asked and got given. Anything for the bride, right? Oh my god. Oh wonderful, you're getting married tomorrow? Here's another. She was like a freight train, with me barely hanging on. She phoned her husband-to-be and told him that the wedding was off and she's changed her mind. I eventually managed to get her home around 4 a.m. He was waiting for her. She screamed at him and he shouted at me. They postponed the wedding. I feel so bad. I never wanted to cause shit for either one of them.
Story time about how I hooked up with the police officer who arrested me and now I think he's stalking me. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. I'm just a little bit of a party girl. I'm always getting myself into trouble and somehow I've never gotten arrested until last week. My friends and I constantly go out and get super drunk. Fortunately, when I get drunk, I tend to get a little bit aggressive. So if you're like me, do not drink. My friend group consists of 5 girls including me. 3 of them are super chill and funny when they get drunk. The other 2 turn into raging bitches when we get drunk. So half of the group is always trying to fight somebody and the other half is trying to calm the situation. So I'm the one that's always trying to start a fight. All of this went down last week. My friends and I are all standing at the bar and this one girl behind me starts pushing her way through. She is literally pushing me and my 2 other friends out of the way. Of course, I instantly flew into a rage because I'm already drunk. Without saying anything, I push the girl and she falls on her ass. Her friends come at me, start punching me and pulling my hair. So I started kicking them with my boots. Before I knew it, it was a huge fight between 5 people. Long story short, the police comes and they try to arrest us. Well, the cop that arrested me was really hot. So I flirted with him the whole time. Part 2 is up. Story time about how I hooked up with a police officer who arrested me and now he's stalking me. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. That's when the super hot officer starts arresting me. So I decided to start flirting with him. I mean, why not? He put me in his police car and he started driving me to the station. On the way, I started asking him if he was single. And he actually flirted back. We actually had a pretty good conversation even though I was drunk. Spent 4 hours in the police station and they ended up calling my brother to get me out. Guess what I did? I told my brother to leave me at the police station because I was gonna try to hook up with the police officer. My brother got so mad at me. He called me stupid and he left. That's when I went back into the police station and I started flirting with the police officer again. At this point, it was 5 in the morning and I was really hungry. So I asked him to take me out to breakfast and he did. We went to a cute diner. It was like a freaking movie. And then afterwards, we hooked up in his car. He did everything you could possibly imagine in his car. Here's the thing. My plan was to never see this man again. He took me home and he asked me for my number. I politely declined. Later that day, I go to class because, by the way, I'm in college. I actually saw this man driving by. So I wasn't sure, but then I realized it was him. Later on that night, I'm home and I'm about to take a shower. There's a knock on my door and I go open it. Guess who it is? Part 3 is story time about how I hooked up with the police officer who arrested me and now he's stalking me. Claim is not my story time. I sent me on Instagram. Hear the knock on the door and I go to open it. And it's the police officer. Mind you, I'm in a towel about to take a shower. When I opened the door, I didn't say anything. Just staring at him like, what do you want? And he said, can I come in? And I said no. He came in anyway. He sat down on the couch and just stared at me. Then he asked me why I hooked up with him if my intention was not to ever see him again. I told him that I was simply just trying to have fun with him and that was it. Then he talked for 10 minutes about how he and I would make a great couple and how much in common we have. That alone was a huge red flag. He met me when I was drunk fighting with people at a bar. I mean, how could he want a relationship with me? And he said something that sent chills down my spine. He said, you look great in baby blue. I instantly realized that I was wearing baby blue underwear. He was watching me minutes before while I was getting undressed to take a shower. He tried to kiss me, but I pulled away. I told him that if he followed me again, I would report him. He laughed and said, you think that's gonna work? And he begged to take me out on a date. I said yes to going on a date because I feared that he was gonna try to R-word me. I'm going on a date with him in a few days. What should I do? How do I prepare for this? I need to somehow make him hate me. What should I do?
Am I the asshole for leaving my partner's kids 9 and 13 unattended in a hotel pool? It's my first time traveling with my partner, 49 male, and his 2 boys. I get along great with them and they're awesome, smart, creative, and funny. They can also be jerks, but that's normal. I'm on the verge of becoming an official stepmom, which would be a great step for all of us. Lately, I've felt extra scrutiny from the 3 of them, which makes sense. Both boys have mentioned to my partner that I left them unattended in the hotel pool on this trip. I got defensive when he brought it up, but perhaps I'm the asshole. I grew up a latchkey kid in the 90s and I'm often surprised at the lack of independence both boys demonstrate. Am I the asshole for leaving my partner's kids 9 and 13 unattended in a hotel pool? Neither of them walk to or from school a few blocks away and they can't be left home alone for an hour to run errands or go to the corner store by themselves. It seems odd, but I accept that I may be old and wrong. So I was watching them in the hotel pool, which was a small pool, not deep, but no lifeguard. My partner said he was going upstairs to get his swimsuit and left for 40 minutes. I had to pee and said jokingly to them, okay dude, shallow end, no drowning. I went to the bathroom for 5 minutes, then came back to watch them. And weeks later, this has come up from both of them. Am I the asshole for freaking out when my male coworker brought me pads for my period? I work as a waitress in a restaurant with a bunch of people, including the coworker I'm talking about. Let's call him Josh. Now, Josh was always a very sweet guy to me, not gonna lie, although I didn't consider him exactly a friend yet. Just because I'm relatively new to this job, but we do hang out often. Anyways, I'm not sure that what he did was right this time, or maybe I'm overreacting. This is what happened. When my shift was over, he called me to meet him before I got off and left. He told me that he knows that my period is very soon and how physically exhausting it is for me. Because he noticed that I get gut-wrenching aches sometimes. And I don't have a boyfriend anymore and I don't get paid enough, so he brought me pads, chocolate, and mac and cheese. I was puzzled because how would he know when my period would come? Turns out he asked my female friend that's also our coworker. She told him my cycle is constant and helped him know when and how physically hard it is on my body. Me and the girl are really close, so I believed him. But I kind of freaked out and put the bag on the table where he can see it and left as quickly as I could. It's been several hours after this and I'm kind of ghosting him at the moment. Did I overreact?
Storytime about when a guy died right in the middle of the dining room during lunch rush. It was a breakfast lunch place where you get in line, order your food, and then we brought it out to you. The guy ordered the special, which was a chicken stir fry with peanuts. He came in about twice every week, and it turned out that he had a serious allergic reaction to peanuts. He said hello just like always, placed his order, and said thanks and walked away. A couple minutes after he got his food, he stood up, choking, spitting out his food, and then fell over onto the table. Someone tried doing the Heimlich maneuver, but obviously it didn't help. We called 911 and they got there really fast, but he was already dead. The worst part was when someone across the room called over, "What was he having?" And then everyone who had the stir fry ran to the bathroom and started puking. I was a dishwasher just starting out and had to clean up all of the vomit. But the plot thickens. So it turns out the guy knew that he was allergic and did it on purpose. His allergy bracelet was in his bag with a note to his wife and also an envelope with the restaurant's name on it with $50 inside and a short apology letter. Turns out the guy's wife had told him that morning that she was having an affair and was leaving him. None of us knew the guy at all, but he seemed pleasant enough when he came in. Someone from his office said that they found an EpiPen on top of the garbage can by his desk when they were going through his stuff, and that he always carried it everywhere. So he got rid of the bracelet and ditched the EpiPen on purpose to make sure that nobody would be able to help him in time. That's pretty hardcore. I'll never forget the blank stare he had when he placed the order. I repeated his order, gave him his number, 10 of diamonds, we use playing cards. He looked right through me and said, "Thanks, buddy," and walked away. I almost never play cards, but when I see that one, it still freaks me out even though it's been years.